people do not assume to know what will make them truly happy. We can't just assume that we know what is going to make us happy. We can't just assume that getting that job or signing that client or dating that person or getting married or moving to that place or looking that way is going to be it. At one point, Christmas made a lot of us more happy than it does now. At one point, a birthday party made us feel a lot more happy than it does now. If money made you happy when you were broke, the same amount of money is not going to make you happy when you're rich. Emotionally intelligent people do not assume being fearful is a sign that they are on the wrong path. A sign that you're on the wrong path is indifference. If you are fearful about something, that is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. You're being pushed towards something. That's intention. Who knows if it always will be the right thing? What we do know is that you're on the right path. It might not lead to exactly where you want, but you're going into a direction you know you need to go into. They know that happiness is a choice, but do not feel they need to make that choice all the time. Happiness is not a sustained state of joy. Being happy is moment by moment. If you were only experiencing one emotion all the time, then that's not living. You're not living. You're just in existence. Living the human experience means that you experience all the emotions. And you should allow yourself to say, I'm not in a happy state right now. Emotionally intelligent people know that a feeling will not kill them. You're not going to die because you're angry. You're only going to die if you start doing stupid things because you're angry. Emotionally intelligent people do not confuse a bad feeling for a bad life. When you fight the bad feeling, when you fight the bad day, that is anything but peaceful. If you just come to grips with this is just not a good day for me. It's not my day. I got bad news. I lost a client. Somebody hit the back of my car on the way to the gym, and I just want to go home, go to sleep, and start this one over tomorrow. That's part of life. If I'm fighting against that bad day, if I'm fighting against that bad feeling, I'm causing war within myself. You're able to have peace when you just accept it. This is a bad stretch of life, or this is a bad day, or this is a bad week. These are bad feelings. But this doesn't make it a bad life.
Good morning. We're live and alive.
Live and alive. All you come in. All you come in this morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday to y'all. Happy Wednesday to y'all. What's good? See how we doing this morning?
We're doing fine, Jay. I don't know if you've been
doing fine.
I don't know if you've been following this Charlie Kirk stuff, but some weird stuff been coming out. It's just like, all right, what is actually happening now? First, we haven't heard anything from this guy's parents, but at the same time, they claim to have text messages that are just too convenient. That just explains everything. Text messages between the Tyler Robinson guy who unalived Charlie Kirk and his roommate. So it's just a bit strange because even how the text messages when they're recovered, how they're normally presented, that's not how when they released it to the public, that's not how it looks. It looks like it's in a PDF. So it's pretty strange. And it's just everything is just explained in the text message, and it's really strange because I don't think if this is somebody with a 4.0 GPA, I don't feel like they would have, if something like this happened, it would have taken place via text message. And it's between you and your roommate, like you would have just talked about it in person.
Yeah, maybe this can be something we talk about tomorrow evening's live.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can get some insight from some of our viewers and see what people are thinking about this stuff so far. Last week when we talked about the whole Charlie Kirk thing, admittedly so, I told you guys I don't really know anything about the guy. I'm just finding out things now because I didn't know there was a person named Charlie Kirk that existed before he was killed or unalived. Sorry. So I'm learning a lot more since then. So yeah, maybe let's bring that to the board for tomorrow, or I should say for today when we're planning out tomorrow's live. Sound good? If you're speaking, can't hear you. You're on mute. Shout out to you, Maria. Good morning.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. We're live on both channels this morning, guys. If you have not checked out our other channel, we're going to be putting a lot more stuff like this on our other channel. I think I had told you guys about maybe I want to say like a week ago, I had told you guys that what we're going to start doing is we're going to start having more leadership stuff here and more human development stuff on the other channel. So the other channel is the Win Column, and there's always going to be a link in our bio and in the description of each video for that channel, so you guys can go and subscribe to that channel if you like human development stuff and business development stuff. We're going to have it on that channel. Where this channel, we're going to have a lot of thought leadership stuff. And what I'm noticing now is being a leader also means that you have to dabble in politics at least a little bit. And as not political as I am and claim to be, I am always somewhat political because of the fact that I am one of the leaders in our community. So we'll keep that stuff here, and then we will be speaking strictly about human and business development on the other channel. That's why we're streaming these in the mornings on both channels. All right, let's jump into some stuff this morning. Have you ever had a coach, like a coach in any capacity?
No, not that I can think of. Why?
Well, thank you, Maria. Maria, subscribe to our other channel as well. Yes, the other channel has business stuff. Absolutely. So if you're on here, you own your own business or you do anything to do with business, the other channel has business stuff as well. So yeah, thank you, Maria, for your support there. And we'll be posting beginning this week some more business stuff on that page. All right. You said no, you haven't had a coach before? Like not even in school?
No, I mean, I had my guidance counselor, but only went to her like once or twice.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I was reading this morning. I was reading a story from, again, the book Think and Grow Rich. You know, you guys know I read that book once a year. And I was reading a story. I'm not going to go like deep into the story, but I'm going to start about halfway through. There was this thing called the gold rush. I don't know if you know about the gold rush. Do you see?
I might have an idea, but
there was like a gold rush in America. I don't remember the dates. I think it was like in the 50s or something. But there was like a gold rush in America. And and basically, I don't know how all of it works. But basically, there's like these, what they call veins, right? And then you follow a vein. And then at the end of the vein is supposed to be all of the gold there. Good morning, April. Hope you're doing well. So, you know, once you can follow one of these veins, you follow it all the way down to, I guess, like the river or whatever. And then you dig down and then you hit, you know, gold, right? You get a lick. So this is a story called 3 Feet from Gold. And it's about a family who found a vein and went to go and chase it. Okay. So I'm going to loosely read some of the story. And this is the reason why I asked you, if you've ever had a coach before. All right. So I'm going to pick up from here. After weeks of labor, he was rewarded by the discovery of the shining ore. He needed machinery to bring the ore to the surface. Quietly, he covered up the mine, retracted his footsteps to his home in Williamsburg, Maryland. So there's a gold mine. He covers it up and he retracts his steps so he knows where it is. And he goes back to his home in Williamsburg, Maryland. Okay. He told his relatives and a few neighbors of the strike, like he struck gold, right? They got together money for the needed machinery and had it shipped all the way to where, I think, Colorado. The uncle and Darby went back to work the mine. The first car of ore was mined and shipped to a smelter. The returns proved they had one of the richest mines in Colorado. A few more cars of that ore would clear the debts. Remember, they bought machinery and they shipped the machinery and all that stuff. So a few more and they would have broken even. Okay. Then would come the killing in profits. Down went the drills. Up went the hopes of Darby and his uncle. Then something happened. The vein of gold ore disappeared. They had come to the end of the rainbow, and the pot of gold was no longer there. So I don't think it's a vein the way I'm thinking, but sorry guys, I wasn't alive in the 50s. The pot of gold was no longer there. They drilled on, desperately trying to pick up the vein again, all to no avail. So that's the first half of the story, okay? First half of the story, they find this gold, they find this vein, they're making some money, they made almost enough money to break even with the machinery, shipping all the stuff, all that stuff, right? And then it dried up. They were done, it's dried up, there's nothing there. So here's the second half of the story. Finally, they decided to quit. They sold the machinery to a junk man for a few $100s and took the train back home. Some junk men are dumb, but not this one. He called in a mining engineer to look at the time in the mine and do a little calculating. The engineer advised that the project had failed because the owners were not familiar with fault lines. His calculations showed that the vein would be found just 3 feet from where the Darbys had stopped drilling. That is exactly where it was found. The junk man took millions of dollars in ore from the mine because he knew enough to seek expert counsel before giving up. And that's why I asked you if you had a coach. This guy knew enough to seek expert counsel before giving up. And expert counsel there's no qualification for expert, really, right? There's qualification for professional, right? But a professional isn't an expert. Just because you are a professional at something doesn't make you an expert at something. Expert is just a word we throw out and then we just give whatever meaning we want. If you're an expert witness, right? The reason why I read this was actually because of the other channel. I was thinking about it this morning. And the whole reason why I created that channel years ago, when we took all the old videos, I think there's still a few old videos there, but the whole reason why was because we wanted to give a place where people could get free counsel from somebody who I consider to be an expert, which is myself, and the rest of our team. So I'm going to give you guys a preview today as to what you will be able to find on that channel coming up. And that is something that I wrote called 7 Productivity Rules, or the 7 Rules of Productivity. Okay, I'm going to go through each rule one by one, and then I'm going to go through the application of each rule. And maybe, just maybe, this is something that you might find useful, even if it's just one rule. All right. So this is my 7 rules of productivity. Rule number 1, I'm going to go through all of them, and then I'm going to go one by one in detail. Rule number 1, Goldilocks tasks. Rule number 2, keep it fresh. Rule number 3, reward yourself. Rule number 4, live in common interaction. Rule number 5, know the ultimate goal. Rule number 6, the sound of productivity. And rule number 7, track it. So if you sometimes find yourself not as productive as you wish you could be or want to be, maybe applying one or all of these rules may help you get closer to that goal of being more productive. And who doesn't want to be more productive, right? All right. So let's start with rule number 1, which is Goldilocks tasks. The way I describe this rule is I write, make sure your task is not too hard, yet not too easy. Make sure it's just right. That comes from the Goldilocks, right? With the porridge. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. Okay. If a task is too hard, break it down into easier portions that get increasingly harder. If too easy, implement an aggressive time limit. My idea behind this task is, well, actually really came from myself. I noticed when I had tasks that were too easy, I wasn't very productive. It was too easy. What I would do is I would leave it to the last minute, rush through it, or I would put it off and put it off and put it off, because easy often equals boring. And it wasn't something that was exciting to me, so I didn't want to get it done. I didn't want to do it. So it was just a boring, whether it's paper pushing, whether it's number crunching, whether it's just boring stuff, whether it's getting your receipts together for your accountant, it's just boring things. They're too easy and they're boring. So I would oftentimes lack productivity when it came to those tasks. What I found was I could put an aggressive time limit on it to make it harder. So let's say it's getting receipts together for my accountant for this quarter. Well, instead of giving myself an afternoon to do it, okay, I got to do that this afternoon, I would say I have to do that between 1 o'clock and 1:45. That's all the time I have. 1 o'clock to 1:45. And it's like magic. The way to focus would just, because you're really trying to get it done within that time frame. You only got 45 minutes. And one of my coaches actually helped me with that. One of my coaches, he said, you know how your Google Calendar, as you create a default task, by default, it sets it to 30 minutes for a task? I said, yes. He said, not every task takes you 30 minutes or an hour. So why don't you make it 15 minutes and create your schedule with 15-minute intervals instead of 30-minute intervals? And what would have taken you 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I bet you can get done in 15 minutes if you just schedule 15 minutes for it. And he was absolutely right. I was able to get way more done in my day, and it was more fun. My day actually flew by a lot faster because it was more entertaining. It was more fun. I enjoyed it more. It wasn't as boring. So if you add an aggressive time limit onto tasks that are too easy, you will see that you will be more productive during those tasks. Number one, at minimum, you're going to get them done faster. But you'll also be more focused at that time, probably have less mistakes. You make more mistakes when you're bored out of your mind, or when you're doing something that's boring. You sometimes start, also listening to a podcast, or have something playing in the background, or maybe you're on the phone at the same time, and you start dividing your attention, and then you make dumb mistakes, and then you have to go and redo it. So it's better to just say, you know what, I'm going to fully focus on this. I'm going to limit the amount of time that I have to do this, so that I'm forcing myself to fully focus on it. You will make less mistakes. You will get it done quicker, and that equals productivity. Now let's talk about tasks that are too hard. I, in the past, experienced with my own business, and especially with a lot of my clients' businesses, if I would ask them to do a task that was too hard or too overwhelming or too many moving parts or too long, they would get so overwhelmed that they would get what we call analysis paralysis, where they would do more, like do nothing, because there's just so much on the plate. It's like when you go to a Brazilian steakhouse, like Figo de Chao or something like that, and you sit down, and then they just bombard you with all this steak. I was at a Brazilian steakhouse like last week. I'm one of the few people that had the little green thing, flip it, red, stop. Let me finish this. Okay, now I'll go back, right? Because sometimes I could get too overwhelmed, and I feel like I'm full before I even ate, because I'm just looking at all the food in the plate. Put a 1 in the chat if that's happened to you. But oftentimes that's how things would happen with my day-to-day tasks, or even monthly tasks in my businesses. It happened a lot with my clients, that I say, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to get your CRM in order. That's a whole, that's days, hours, maybe even a week of work, and they don't start. Not only do they don't finish, they don't start because it's too much. Shout out to Maria, shout out to Codex. So what we do for those tasks is we break them down into individual tasks. So instead of get your CRM in order, for those of you guys that are not know what CRM is, it's basically a database where you keep all your clients and your campaigns and stuff like that. Okay, it's like a phone book on steroids, if you may. All right, so the only task I need you to do is get every single one of your business contacts on a spreadsheet. That's all I need you to do. That's just a task. Now, as we add up all these tasks, it equals get your CRM in order and optimize your CRM, work from your CRM. It equals that at the end. But the only task I need them to do in the beginning is get all your stuff on a spreadsheet. And this is not just for business. This could be for literally anything in your life, right? Clean the house is a big task. Clean the bathroom is a small one, right? Clean the kitchen is a big task. Do the dishes is a small one, right? Or load the dishwasher, small task. Clean the kitchen, big task. So when we think I got to clean the kitchen after we eat and we cook some food and we ate, and then we're like, shoot, I got to go and clean the kitchen. If I say all I got to do is go and load the dishwasher, I'm more likely to get up and do it. I'm more likely to procrastinate when it's in my head that I have to clean the whole damn kitchen. But if I'm just like, hey, I got to go and load that dishwasher, I break it down into just loading the dishwasher, I'm going to get up and do it. That's nothing. While I'm in there, I might wipe the counter too. Then I might go take a shower. Then I might come out and do something else. Right? So we break them down. Application, which I basically just described to you. But application I wrote, most of the tasks that I do are just far too easy. This is why a time limit is desperately needed for the things I do. 15-minute time blocks are a must. Very few tasks throughout the day require more than a 15-minute time block. Now, by the way, guys, I didn't write this for anybody but myself. It's just that I found it very useful, and that's why I'm actually sharing it with you guys. But some of the stuff you're going to see in here are personal, to like specific to me. So just to let you know, you're going to be like, that sounds weird, but that's just because it's specific to me. Rule number 2, keep it fresh. My explanation of this one is keep things interesting by changing sound, settings, clothes, environmental interactions. Okay. When I say sounds, keep it fresh. First of all, when I say keep it fresh, I'm also a person that gets bored very easily. Like I can't just stay when it came to studying, for example, I couldn't just study in the library for like 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. I would have to do a little studying in the library, then do a little study in the cafeteria, then do a little studying back home, then do a little studying in the living room, then do a little studying in the kitchen. I would have to keep it fresh because it was very difficult for me to do that. And I would switch it with my subjects. So when it came to studying for this subject, I would do it here. When it came to doing an assignment for this subject, I would do it there. I would continue to keep it fresh with routine in that regard as well. Human beings, we need to keep it fresh. We need routine. This is true. Our keeping it fresh can be built into the routine as well. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we can be doing something in a different environment or in different clothing or in different settings or in different environmental interactions, which is environment, or different sounds around us. You guys know the other day I talked about playlists. Good morning, Aretha. You guys know the other day I talked about playlists, right? And I have different playlists for every different part of my day, right? I keep it fresh because nuance is interesting. Nuance is inspiring. And so I try to pair the nuance with something fresh. Again, this is just for me. I wrote this for myself. Now let's talk about application. I wrote it. Routine is good and as is changing up the environment. So have a routine in which an environment change is built into the routine itself. there's days sometimes that we go into the office, and there's some days we work from home, right? That is what I'm talking about when I say keep it fresh. I actually got the idea from an episode of King of Queens years ago. If you could, every morning he reads his paper on the couch, and then one day he decided to read his paper on an armchair that was like way in the corner beside a bookshelf. And his wife was like, "Why are you over there?" And he's like, "I don't know, just for a new perspective, I guess." And then he enjoyed reading his paper from there. And the wife was like, "This is not working for me. You got to come read your paper on the couch because that's what I'm used to." And he's like, "No, I like it over here. It's like a new angle of viewing the house," something like that. I don't remember the exact scene, but I tried it and it worked. So if you find you're bored, just switch it up a little bit, whether it's your environment, your music. Like I said, environmental interactions, music setting, close. Number 3. Rule number 3, reward yourself. Reward yourself. My explanation is reward yourself with something that will improve your ability to complete either the current task or another important task. So it's not, I'm going to reward myself. Like my friend told me the other day, I'm going to reward myself. I'm going to buy a tub of ice cream. I've been consistent at the gym. Well, that's not a good reward. It's a reward, but it's not a good reward because it's counterproductive to what you're trying to do. You're going to erase the gains that you're making at the gym by buying a tub of ice cream. That's going to just defeat the whole purpose. It's also going to make it harder for you to go to the gym. So when we say reward yourself, you're trying to reward yourself with specific things that improve the ability to complete the current task or improve your ability to complete another important task. Application. These are the things, again, this is personal. These are the things that I wrote down that I can reward myself with. But before I get to that, actually, the importance of rewarding yourself for you guys that don't know, the importance of rewarding yourself is you actually trigger dopamine, right? So when you reward yourself with something that releases dopamine within your body, right? We're dopamine ran creatures, just so you understand. We live for the pursuit of dopamine, right? It's not actually getting the dopamine itself that actually that gives us that dopamine effect and that satisfaction. It's actually the pursuit of the dopamine that gives us that dopamine effect and that satisfaction that it brings. Okay. So, morning, Christina. So, what I'm explaining is the reward is the release of the dopamine. So, while you're working in pursuit of the reward, you're actually working in pursuit of dopamine, which will allow you to work harder. Okay, so end, reward, pursuit of dopamine, right? That's the end, the reward, the pursuit of dopamine. Before that, you have, the release of dopamine, my bad. End, the release of dopamine, that's at the end. In the middle is the pursuit of dopamine. And in the beginning is the beginning of your task. So if your task serves as the pursuit of dopamine and the reward serves as the release of dopamine, and you pair your task to the pursuit of dopamine, you will do the tasks that much more efficiently and more focused, and you will be more productive. I'm going to give you an example. This is what you do by pairing tasks with a pursuit of dopamine. And this is going to be a weird example, but as you guys probably know by now, I was a weird kid. So, you know that shrimp cocktail? That was like one of the things my mom used to bring, those shrimp rings, those little shrimp rings with the cooked shrimp to like her work events and stuff. She used to bring some of that, like whatever. She used to cook some and then bring that. But oftentimes she would allow me to have like a couple shrimp, or she would allow me to, like, if there was leftovers, she'd bring it, and because she knows I love seafood, so she would allow me to have some shrimp with the little red cocktail sauce. Okay, and she used to leave the leftover cocktail sauce in the fridge. I had only ever had those shrimp as a kid on special occasions with, when she was going to her work function for Christmas or something. And whenever there was leftovers, I used to use that cocktail sauce. And I had only ever had those shrimp with the cocktail sauce. So after a while, the shrimp ran out and the cocktail sauce was still there. So I took a teaspoon and I ate the cocktail sauce. Like I literally took the teaspoon and ate the cocktail sauce. It tasted like shrimp to me because I had only ever had shrimp, those type of shrimp with that cocktail sauce. And you guys know that red cocktail sauce has a little horseradish in it, little white little pieces of horseradish. Kind of look like mini little strings of horseradish. I thought those were pieces of shrimp in there. I thought they were pieces of shrimp because to me, it tasted like shrimp because I only ever had the shrimp with the cocktail sauce. Just like you associate different tastes and food with Christmas or with whatever celebration that you have. That's why some people say, hey, it tastes like Christmas. What am I getting at? If you constantly reward yourself after completing tasks, you're attaching that line of dopamine to the task. And that line from the dopamine to the task is called the pursuit of dopamine. And if you attach that pursuit of dopamine to the task, you're going to pursue the task. It's just how your body is wired. That's the explanation behind this. So now I get to my application. Again, this is me personally, but these are things that release dopamine for me personally. These are things that release dopamine for me. So these are the things that I put as my rewards. Smoking cigars. I'm not lying. Here's a half-smoked cigar. All right? Smoking cigars. I enjoy cigars. So that release dopamine for me, especially when I see the label. I get to tear off. I don't know if you can see this label. I get to tear off this label. This one is a Monte Cristo. I could tear off the label. I could smell the cigar, light the cigar. I enjoy just sitting down and enjoying a cigar. I don't smoke a whole cigar usually in one sitting because it takes too long, but I take a few puffs, I put it down, I get back to work. Another one, YouTube. Right? You guys know I'm on YouTube. You're literally watching me on YouTube right now. But I also consume YouTube. But there's a time and a place. And I like to consume stuff that's not always like a short form video. Sometimes there's a longer video that I wanted to watch so I can learn something, like I did this morning. I was comparing two platforms, two softwares. And I learned something. I love that. So YouTube. But I have the time. After my task, I can go on YouTube for X amount of time and click around a little bit. Podcasts, same thing. Audibles, same thing. I give myself that opportunity after I have completed the task. Investments, I like spending money just like everybody else does. Right? So if I could find a good investment, or if I could look up information on investments, or if I could talk to somebody about investing some money, I like spending money just like everybody else. Right? Some people go shopping because they get a dopamine hit. This is my version. And then last I have here jewelry. This is my version. Now, all of these are all things that help me. Jewelry too. Yes, it does. People look at you a little bit different. All of these things are things that help either the current task or another important task. All of them. So none of them are something, and when I say jewelry, I'm specifically talking about watches, but like none of these things here are counterproductive to the things I'm trying to achieve in my business or my life on a whole. So you would have to decide what rewards would be good for you that are also going to make your current task easier or improve your current task or your ability to do your current task or complete another important task. Rule number 4, live in common interaction. What I wrote is not always necessary, but always effective. Interact with someone else, in brackets, I have preferably about that current task, who is also doing the same thing. Jason, Reels Network, shout out to you. Vertical one from yes, thank you. I appreciate that. See, look that up. Thank you. All right, y'all. So again, living in common interaction is basically feeding off the energy of people around you. If you're gonna do studying, or as one of my teachers, we had a bunch of like smudges on these assignments that he gave back to us. Bunch of smudges on them, brownish, greenish smudges. Weird. Some even sometimes a little red was in the smudge. It was weird. And we're like, what is this on the page? And he says, oh, sorry guys. When I was marking your papers, I was at a horse race, and there were like horse flies and stuff everywhere, and I had to keep killing them. So we had a bunch of dead bug smudges on our papers. Okay. That's not living in common interaction. He probably didn't do a very good job marking those papers, number one. And number two, took a long time, a lot longer, and a lot less inspired. When you live in common interaction, that's like going to a co-working space where other people are also working. As I said, preferably people who are also working on the same task as you, right? But could be anything. If you're in music, for example, living in common interaction would be a bunch of musicians getting together and feeding off of the energy off of each other, right? That's living in common interaction. I remember one of my exes, she filmed a lot of content, and she was pretty big, and she was part of this content group. And every so often they would go, I think it was every other month or every third month, they would go to like a destination, and they would all just dedicate the weekend to just filming content. I myself have this thing that every a couple months or every third month, what my intention is always to do is round up a few people, and then we all go on a reading weekend together. So you read this book, you read this book, I read this book. We study these books, or we study these things or these tasks, or learn these softwares. And by the end of the weekend, we spend 72 hours just trying to get this done. And we go on a what would be like a retreat and get it done. It just speeds up the process when everybody else around you is doing it, because human beings are tribal. I wrote application. Join more mastermind groups, promote masterminds, and work sessions. Join an ecosystem. And then, of course, the retreats. Go on retreats. Retreats can also be conferences and stuff like that you guys would go on, right? These, again, are for me. What does living in common interaction look like for you? All right, 3 more rules, guys, and we're going to wrap up. And I'm going to have to wrap up at the bottom of the hour regardless. So I'm going to run through these. Rule number 5, know the ultimate goal. What is the big picture? What is the ultimate goal? You always have to know the ultimate goal. You cannot just fly blind. What is all of this for? You have to continue to connect what you're doing right now to an ultimate something. So what is that? What does it look like? Where can I see that? If I walked into your office or I walked into your home, where can I see some of your ultimate goals? Why are you doing all this stuff? Where can I see that? Point to it. Or just tell me like that. Boom. If you can't, it's going to make it very difficult to push through the roadblocks when they come, because they will come. And it makes it difficult to push through if you're not constantly knowing, but I'm doing this for X, Y, and Z. So what I wrote here is be sure to understand what the ultimate goal is that this task is contributing toward. Understand how this task is helping you arrive at the ultimate intention. You might not hit the goal, but it's your ultimate intention. And if you guys have not seen our video on the true purpose of the goal, it's on the Win Column channel. I put it up there like 2 or 3 years ago. And even though we took some of the other videos down, we still left that one up. Okay, application. Everything right now is in support of creating a service platform that reaches over 1 million people. That is my ultimate goal. If you ask me, Jay, what's your ultimate goal? That is my ultimate goal. Everything right now is in support of creating a service platform that reaches over 1 million people. That's what I want to do. I want to create a service platform that reaches over 1 million people, and I will. So this live this morning, when I'm studying and deciding what I'm going to put together for you guys, when I meet with C, when I have him here in the morning, when I sign his paycheck, or not sign his paycheck, but when he gets paid, and anything, it's all in support of one thing: creating a service platform that reaches over 1 million people. So if you want to help me do that, share this video. All right. Rule number 6, the sound of productivity. Be sure to have music or any other sounds that support the process of completing the task. One of my clients, she actually has coffee or cafe sounds. I think it's on Spotify actually, but you could definitely find it on YouTube. She plays cafe sounds because she used to do a lot of her work at a coffee shop, at Starbucks, I believe. And so when she works from home, she actually plays those sounds, and that helps her get into the mood of productivity. Okay. So, right, like I said, be sure to have music or any other sound that supports the process of completing the task, right? If you guys see here, you could see it there probably, my Spotify playlist, right? Miracle Morning, that's the one that I do my morning routine to. Gains, that's the one I go to the gym with. Daily Focus, that's the one I work with. It Takes Time, that's the one that I study with. Like all of these playlists are for a specific time that helps me get in the mood of productivity. So I am practicing what I preach. And so that is the sounds of productivity. They should be playing around you. And that's because you have that association, right? You have that association, that sound, that smell, right? The sound, whatever sense it associates. Let me give you a perfect example. You ever have to use the restroom? Pee. I think I could say that on YouTube. Urinate. Say that, right? And as soon as you get into the bathroom, it's like, right now, I got to go right now. All the way to the bathroom, it wasn't like I have to go. But as soon as you get into the restroom, it's like, I got to go right now. Why is that? It's because of the sense, the smell of the restroom triggers your mind to say, okay, now it's go time. Okay. So this is no different. The sound of the environment is triggering it, right? My cousin, one time I used to work to a lot of lo-fi music. If you don't know what that is, you could look it up. I used to work to a lot of lo-fi music, and I went to my cousin's house and we were chilling, and she put lo-fi music on, and I was like, well, I feel like I'm supposed to be working right now, because you train your mind with those sounds. So make sure you have the sounds of productivity around you. Okay. And then last but not least, rule 7, track it. What gets measured gets managed. There's something, like my coach used to say, when you follow through and you actually follow through and you stick the landing of your basketball shot, it's like magic. The ball goes in more than it misses. But when you don't hold the pose, hold the form, stick the landing, as they say, it's not as effective. And it's no different with tracking. If you track your numbers, you track your streaks. When I say your streaks, how many days in a row did you do this? Did you follow your schedule? Did you wake up on time? Did you get to the gym? Did you, continue with a habit? Did you continue away from a habit, right? How many days in a row, right? Tracking your numbers, tracking your progress tells you and gives you feedback. This is working. This is helping. This is not working as much as you thought it would. So let's make an adjustment before we get discouraged, right? Track your production, track your progress, track your journey, because this is all this is. It's just a journey that we're all on. So track it, track your journey, right? I just started a new team in the beginning of this month. I'm on week 3 now, and I track each week what has been completed, what is in progress, what are my executions, what does my journey look like for the first 90 days? I want to know. I want to look back at it and see. So application I wrote, you could use a whiteboard, you could get a coach, you could use apps. 2 apps I've used in the past are Strides and Slash. Strides and Slash. All right. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys being on this morning. I got to run because I'm 3 minutes late for an appointment. But go and be great, guys. Please use these 7 rules of productivity. And the reason why I share this with you guys is because this is the type, I wanted to give you a preview of the type of content that's on the other channel. Again, just to reiterate, this channel is going to be a lot about leadership. The other channel is going to be a lot about human development and business development. Okay. They sound the same, but they're all different. Their leadership is not the same as human and business development. Christina says, I love that, Jay. Great goal. I have shared a video of yours to a couple coworkers. This is like TED Talks for me. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, Christina. And I appreciate everybody joining us this morning on both channels. Go and be great, guys, because greatness is a choice.
In the air like a chopper. Hennessy punching Johnny Walker. Somebody tell the police they just can't stop us. Like a helicopter. Spin out your rags in the air like a chopper. Hennessy punching Johnny Walker. Somebody tell the police they just can't stop us. Oh, when me choppers them. 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 Rags with me, flags with me, rags with me, flags with me, rags with me, flags with me. Yo, spin your rags in the air like a chopper. Wave your rags like a helicopter. Spin out your rags in the air like a chopper. Round and round like a helicopter. Spin your rags in the air like a chopper. Wave your rags like a helicopter. Spin your rags in the air like a chopper. High choppers fly helicopters. We drunk cause we drink like a fish in the water. So high is like the world spinning faster. Dripping with sweat but it don't really matter. The music making me ball out. We see ladies and we call out. Them girls and them whining all out. Look a fight in the back, them brawl out. What? Me no business about that. Girls on me mind, so me thinking about that. Woman in the place, so me hunting for that. Bumpers in me face, so me on the attack. Just give me Henny, yo, give me Stack. No racial thing, white oak, Johnny Black. Oh gosh, I could catch a jet lag. 1919 does have me feeling high. Like a helicopter, spin out your rags in the air like a chopper. Hennessy punching Johnny Walker. Somebody tell the police they just can't stop us.